Good morning. Hello, and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in to another daily creativity with me, Charlotte Burns. And today I want to tell you a little bit of a story. So years ago, I was thinking, wouldn't it be awesome if Close to My Heart brought out matching dies to their papers? Because they had some pretty awesome papers. I'm just going to bring in this paper here. Now, this is going back ages. This was Sugar Rush. And I thought, how cool would it be if they brought out dies that matched some of their shapes? Now, I know these are circles and I can just get a circle die and blah, blah, blah. But if we flip this over, it's just fun. And obviously, a bigger pattern would just be fun if they had like a big flower and we had a die and we could just chuck the die on top and cut it out. And I was thinking about that again. We've got, some new papers coming out that the consultants have just been able to review, and thinking about it, something dawned on me that we can actually make our own paper. It doesn't matter if you're a customer or a consultant. We can make our own paper. So that's what I'm going to do with you today. Doesn't matter if you've got stamps or stamps and dies. I'm going to be showing you how you can do it with stamps and dies, because that way I have the dies, I can cut the paper out if I want to, if I mess up or whatever. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be using one of the stamp and die sets that are on special at the moment. Why not? These specials are amazing. So if you're after some really fantastically priced stamp and die sets, jump on the website and check them out. This one is called Smiles from the Garden, and I just thought it would be great for making backgrounds. Don't know how much I'll use the dies, but I thought I'll grab the dies as well, just because it makes it so much easier to cut things out. This is a mix of solid stamps. So these I consider solid. There's a little bit of a gap in there, but they're pretty well solid stamps. So you've got some mostly solid stamps here. And then you've also got some that are not solid. So on this particular pattern, I'm going to show you a couple of techniques with stamping. So I've chosen some of the stamps that are not solid, and I've already mounted them onto some blocks just to save time. So these three butterflies, I don't know if this one actually looks more like a moth, but these three here, as well as this little guy here. Now I'm thinking that may well fit over the top. I don't know. But anyway, I've chosen those four stamps and I've already got them mounted on my blocks, which are here. I do have some ink colors. So I have black, because I'm going to use black as the main color. And then I've chosen some other colors. Now this is not random. I haven't chosen these randomly. I could have stood at my ink colors for ages. And yes, I do have every single color of ink, because that's just another thing of my OCD. If there's a set, then I either get all of them or none of them. And with the inks, naturally, I have to get all of them. So I do have these colors. And how I chose these colors is I actually looked at the current paper suite, which is Tutti Frutti. And I just looked and I went, okay, I'm going to grab Capri, Flamingo, Grape, Lemonade, Mint, and then I'm using White Daisy as my background card. So I've got these to add a bit of color to my paper, and I'll show you what I'm doing with this and color. So let's get stamping. By the way, I did go early today because I'm wanting to shift these sessions a little bit earlier. I've got a few things coming up in the next few days, next week or so, and I'm busy at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to have to be coming earlier and earlier to you, bringing it as early as 9 o'clock in the morning. I know, it's terrible, isn't it? I sound awful. So what we're going to be doing is a technique to start with that you would be fairly familiar with, and that is background stamping or random stamping. So that's what I'm going to do first. Now, I'll show you again the stamps that I've chosen. So I've chosen this butterfly, and then this butterfly, then this moth butterfly, and this butterfly. And you can see they're in varying degrees of size. When I'm doing random stamping, I always start with the largest and then I go down to the smallest. And I'll explain why as I go. So The other thing with random stamping is you want an odd number of stamps on each page. Now I've chosen a 6" by 6" so it doesn't take me all day to show you this technique, because I really would like to finish this page. Oh, I use the F word. Finish this during this video. I don't want to leave it half done. So I've just inked that up. After I mounted all of these, I did actually season them all, just in case you're wondering. So I'm inking that up, having a look through. It's got some nice coverage there. And for this one, I'm going to start up here and I'm going to go off the page. And the reason for that is because with random stamping, you want it to go off the page. Otherwise, it looks very planned and organized. So there's my first one. Absolutely gorgeous butterfly that is. So we're going to start with 3 of these. Just random stamping, and then once I've got 3 down, I'll probably have a look and see. I will probably actually make this one 5. As I mentioned, odd number of stamps on your pages. This is probably something that I do struggle with because it is random and I tend to be more structured. So I've got heaps more room on here. I'm not going to be able to fill it up with the others, and I do want to fill this up. So similar to, I'll just bring this one in again, similar to this, I want it to be full so I can use it as a background sheet of paper. Good morning to Karen. Thank you so much for watching and commenting. I'm just going to ink that up a little bit more. As I mentioned, random stamping is not my forte, but we get there. I have noticed too on pattern paper, so for instance, if I bring this back over, even though this looks very random, the random pattern does repeat itself. So that's kind of my saving grace. If I wanted to, I could do a repeated pattern, which is, you know, that's background stamping, not random stamping, but I forgot about that when I started, so I may as well just keep going. So if we look at this one, we've got an ice cream facing that way with the double cone on top. If we go up the page, there's no more that way, but if we come across, there should be another one like, no, this looks like it's completely random. Okay, yeah, I'll just tuck that over there. And that's what happens when you go live, you know, it just, I've got one that way, that one that way, let's go. No, that's not inked up enough. Let's do one here. All right, so I'm going to stick with 5, and then I'm going to bring in another stamp. And I love how clear Close to My Heart stamps stamp. You don't need to apply that much pressure if you've got your squishy underneath. I'm just going to grab my stamp chamois, which I didn't organise to have over here. Now this is dried out. Really important, you don't use these dry, but add a little bit of water. So I've got this big bottle of water in my craft room that I keep in here. So I'm just adding some water. I'm letting that soak in. Pop that on there. Let that soak in and just swish that around. Because I'm not going to be using this stamp again, I'm just going to clean that off. So that's probably a bit too wet, but I just want to get this done. All right, so there I have my 5 butterflies, and now I'm going to go down to the next size. So this to me is the next size down. So let's do this one. Ink it up, and let's go over this side here. Yes, so the great thing is if we're stamping on foam, you don't need to press down super hard to get a great image. And also the photopolymer stamps, that's what these Close to My Heart stamps are made of. They are also really, really good to get that nice crisp image. Mounted on the clear acrylic blocks, it means that you can see directly through your stamp, and just got to concentrate there for a second. directly through your stamp. You can see exactly where you're stamping, so I'm not going to cross over and stamp on top of that butterfly there. Okay, let's pop one down here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do need another one, so I'm going to pop one up in there. 4, 5. And now you might be able to see why I'm doing the largest first and then coming down to the smaller and smaller. If I did the small first and then tried to put the large in there, the large may not fit. So that is why it's recommended you do it that way. All right, so clean that off and then just over onto my, I was going to call it a squishy. Next, we've got this one that really does look like a moth. Sorry, guy, but you do look like a moth. Again, it's a little bit smaller. It's skinnier on the wing. It's absolutely gorgeous, though, and you are going to fit very nicely in there. And this is coming together really, really nicely. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have made my paper a little bit directional just because all of the butterflies are flying up. If I had have turned some of them around and come down like this, it would have been non-directional. But because all of the butterflies are tending to go upwards, I'm going to stick with that theme and keep this guy going up as well, which means that his little head is going to go off the page, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. I could have said I'm going to chop his head off, but oops, did I say that? All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I need one more with him in there, and I'm thinking here, but there's quite a congregation of him around there, but I think that's the only spot I've got left to do. So let's just bring him over and go there. And then I've got one final one, which is good because I can still see there's quite a few little gaps on there. I think the scariest thing for me about random stamping is the random nature of it, in that there's no plan. It's scary. All right, and then we've got this tiny little guy, which is just going to be brilliant to fill in all the gaps. And with this one, I won't stick to just the 5 stamps, but I'm going to fill in, use it to fill in. I will try and go with an odd number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It probably wouldn't matter because I've put so many of these on. I don't actually think it's going to matter if there's an odd number or an even number. But I think if I pull that away, that looks pretty cool. So as I said, the main thing I was looking at, let's just clean this off, was a paper that I could then use a thin cut on, and that is exactly what I've got here. So I could then, if I wanted to, use my thin cut and cut some of these guys out. Now, at the moment, it looks good. You know, it does. Come on. It does look good, doesn't it? That's it. It does. It looks good. But I'd really like some colour on this. So I'm going to show you with this stamp set here that I keep coming back to. This was actually featured on a live that Doreen Camilleri did. I made a card live here on the Facebook page using this brushstroke stamp and I showed generational stamping. And then with the pieces that I showed, I made them into cards and I sent them out. And Doreen actually featured my card on her live video, so you can go and check that out, which was really special. So I have used this stamp before. I do love these sort of stamps, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this. So taking my, I'm going to have to put some of these back, aren't I? Yes. Taking my colours that I picked before from the Tutti Frutti range, and I love that I can just, go, ooh, that's a good colour palette. Let's just pick them. All right. Let me put these back on their carrier sheet. Now, I know most stamps come with a carrier sheet, but again, another thing I love about the Close to My Heart stamps is not only do they come with a carrier sheet, but rather than just going in some plastic bag that this sticks to, we have our squishy or our foam, and then they come in this. So there are my thin cuts, and you get so many thin cuts with this. It's absolutely wonderful. They then come in these really great storage envelopes that will last for years, unless, of course, your FedEx delivery driver delivers a box that is completely damaged, which is what happened just the other day, which was rather disappointing. And some of them are ruined, so I'm going to contact Close to My Heart, and I know they are awesome, and they will probably send me some newbies, which would be great. All right, so what I'm going to do now is use some of these brush strokes to colour my page. So let's just pull some of these off. I'm going to put that one across. So I have mentioned before, if these don't fit acrossways on your stamps, on your stamp blocks, you can just put them diagonally. And I'm thinking I'm also going to use this one here. Okay, so we can use those. And then the other thing I noticed was some of these colours were quite vibrant. So for instance, the grape is quite a vibrant colour, and I didn't want that on this stamp set. Sorry, on this paper. So I'm going to use generational stamping, which is also something that I have shown as well. So I'm going to start with something really easy for myself, and all I'm going to do is go around and give some of these little butterflies some colour. So we'll season that up. Let's have a look at the colours I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to choose, I'm probably just going to choose 3 of these colours. And I'm starting with the lightest, which would have to be mint. I'm going to ink this up. Now, one thing that I tried to mention when I was showing you generational stamping was, if you make yourself a little blotch of colour, you will actually you'll actually retain more colour on your block than if you just ink it off. Now, this is only giving me a very small, very, very light colour, which is fine. I'm actually wondering if I'll go a full colour swatch. No, I'm happy with that. So I'm just randomly doing this, but by stamping it onto that section there, what's happening is I'm not getting rid of all of the ink on my stamp. So it's just another way of retaining some of the colour. So although it's a very light, you can barely see that. In fact, I'll be surprised if you can see that. It's darker than if I were to stamp it off. So if I were to do my first generation in different white areas, it also maintains the white so that I can, I've got more room to stamp off other colours. So here we go with Lemonade. Now, I'm not putting this onto my stamp chamois. I'm not cleaning it that much because I'm not getting much ink off there. So I can just go straight into my yellow, my Lemonade, and I'm inking that up. And I'm just going to ink that up a couple of times and make that little swatch. And here we go. So you can see I'm just colouring my, nearly went on another one, my little butterflies here. And I want to leave room between some of them because I do have 3 colours I'm using. So if we do this one over here, and this one here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it just turned out that I do have the correct amount on there. Cool. All right, so we'll stamp this off and make sure that there's no yellow left on there, and we can go straight into my next colour, which is Flamingo. Now Flamingo should be a darker colour again, and again I'm going to ink that up and just do a double layer on there, and then find my, there we go. So we're just adding some colour to this using that generational stamping method. And I'm going to do this with all of the butterflies, and you can sit and watch with me. Or you can pause the video and go and have a coffee. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can see very clearly there are 4. No, there are 5. Awesome. That's it. All my little butterflies are done. So again, I can stamp this off. I have finished, I think. Have I finished with this one? Yes, I've finished with this one now. So I'm going to clean that with my chamois. And that can go back on my pad. Now, I was going to use this one for the big wings of the butterfly, possibly, or I was going to have a look at this one. No, I was actually going to use this one just on the edges, like that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colours. Oh, look at that. All right, let's do one of each colour. Again, I'm going to use second generation stamping with this because I don't want them super dark. I am starting with Flamingo. So again, I don't want too dark. I'm going to go in a little bit. So there, it's not really dark enough, but it gives me some colour. There we go. So there's that one. Stamp that off, and we'll go over to, now because we're going down to Lemonade, I am actually going to use my stamp chamois and clean that off so that we don't contaminate my Lemonade with Flamingo. So again, inking it up. And that looks nice and clean. Do one more stamp off, and then we're going to come over here and do this butterfly here. And that's the other thing that I did mention in another video, is the length of time you hold your stamp onto your paper is how much ink will end up sinking into your paper and the depth of colour you'll get. So this one I'm holding for a little bit longer. And there we have a couple, and it's looking quite cute, quite cute. All right, being yellow, I can probably go straight into mint. It's not really going to matter, although mint would have gone better before I did the yellow or the Lemonade, but that's nice and clean. Here we go across to mint. And the other thing I've just realized that I'm doing, that I said we could do, is I probably could have got another piece of this cardstock, so that when I'm stamping off like this, I could have then made some more card bases, but didn't think of that. That's okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. So that's that one done. And again, that's a really light colour. I do not need to, don't need to clean that off because that's nice and clean. We're now going to go to Capri. Now, Capri is a new colour in this particular swatch, and it's quite can come out a lot darker than the others. So I'm going to do a couple of tests. So that's first generation, that's second generation. Second generation, especially with this stamp, because it looks like it's a colour, like it's a brush stroke. So there's quite a bit of white in there. I think the second generation is going to work really, really nicely. So let's just do that patch again so that we're not getting rid of all of the ink. So we're going to do the third one, and then nice, nice, a little bit more depth. There we go. Now looking at that, I'm actually thinking maybe I should have done a couple of them. So I might actually do this one with the Capri as well. I'm going to keep going with that, and that's okay. I'm going to make it look a little bit different with that mint underneath, but it's my paper and I'll try if I want to. Okay, so we now have two that colour, which is going to look odd, but I'm an odd person. And it's all an experiment, and realistically, depending on what I'm using this paper for, if I'm using it as a background for a scrapbook page or something like that, some of these are going to get covered anyway. So we'll pop Capri aside, and we're going to then bring over the final colour, which is Grape. So as I mentioned, these are all from the Tutti Frutti range, and that's where I got my inspiration from. I just picked the colours off the back of the zip strip from Tutti Frutti, which are these, because they just seem to work really nicely together. I'm doing them as second generation because I didn't want it that dark on my page. So here's my first generation, there's second generation, and again that's going to look really good. So I'm going to make a bit of a puddle, and we've got one butterfly up the top to go. This one's fairly dark, so I'm not going to hold it down for quite as long. And there we go. Nice. Nice, I tell ya. And it's just getting that little bit of colour. I'm going to keep going with these other butterflies. Bear with me. I just need to find a good shape of my brush strokes to use on those ones. So you'll notice that my stamp here has gone a purple colour, and that's just because the Grape is a more intense colour and it is staining my stamp. It's no problem. I can stamp and that's completely clear, and if I pop that into yellow, it will come out clear. So I'm thinking this is actually going to work with these guys as well. So these ones will be fine with that. Not this one though. So I do need to find a brush stroke to go onto that, and that is way too big, so I'm not going to use that one. Let's put you back and grab this little one back. Put that on a smaller block. So I'm wondering, I might even do, there we go. I'm going to use that. I'll use that on the other butterfly. Awesome. Okay, so this one, again, I've got 5 of those. And now I want to move a little bit away from the lemonade, and I want to use more of the Capri and the and the Grape. But I also don't want them necessarily around these. So I could do Capri here and Grape there. So I'm going to use the, so here, you can hear I'm going into planning mode, aren't I? Yes. At some point you need to plan. You do need to plan, right? So we're going to do Grape here. I might do, what was I going to use? I'll do Flamingo. Yep, all right. So I'll do Flamingo, Grape, Capri, Capri. Can't do Capri and Capri. So that's definitely going to be flamingo. Let's just do the flamingo one first. I can still use that little puddle there. And let's go like that. There we go. How cool. All right. That one is not going to be flamingo. That one is not going to be flamingo. That one can be grape. That one can be flamingo. Right. Turn it around that way just because. There we go. Okay. So we've got 3 more to do. We're doing grape and Capri. I'm going to do Capri first. Which is yeah, that's got to be Capri. So there's Capri. Might have to introduce another colour. That's going to be grape. That now can't be Capri. That's okay. So let's pick up my grape. Straight through the centre. And I think I'm going to come back to lemonade for that one. I did it wrong, didn't I? I did. That was supposed to be down there. Never mind. All right. Did you squeal when you saw me do that? That's right. My brain is exploding now. It's going, no, you messed up. And you can't change it. Never mind. Never mind. I have cleaned that one because that had the grape on it. And I now want to go into the lemonade. Turn that around. Push that into there. And you, my dear, are lemonade. Okay. It's so unbalanced. It's not, it's just, it's hurting my head. It's hurting my head. Hi, Sharon. You love the Capri. Yes. Blue's my favourite colour. And the Capri, it's interesting. I wasn't keen on it to start with. Probably because we had the other blues and it wasn't really working for me. But it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. All right. Now I've got these little butterflies, which are freaking me out because I'm not really sure what colour I'm going to do. But seeing as I've stuffed up 2 of them, I haven't really stuffed them up. I mean, you know, there's yellow and there's purple and purple, but that's okay. This is going to be purple. Grape. And I just need to remember which way I'm doing it. Okay, so I'm doing it that way. So we're going to go ink it up, and I'm just going to use that puddle there. So that one's grape. There we go. All right, let's see if we can use all 5 colours, including mint, just to de-stress me. So I've used grape. I have cleaned that off, but I'm going to use my chamois to make sure it's completely clean. This one up here can probably be lemonade. So let's go lemonade next. We use that puddle pad there. 1, 2. And you'll see it's actually getting darker because I'm using this little puddle pad. So it's not releasing as much ink off the stamp, and I'm not therefore leaving my ink, my stamp. I'm not leaving my stamp on the paper for as long. All right, so I've used lemonade. I'm going to shut that and put that out of the way. Where's my others? Here. Okay, so this one could be grape. Yes, no. This one is going to be grape. No, I've used grape. What have I got? Flamingo, mint, and Capri. Flamingo, mint, and Capri. That one's going to have to be Capri. Yes. Because this one's too close to Capri. That one's too close to Capri. I'm just going to go with it now. All right. Is that right? Yep. 1, 2, done. Done, ski. Right, Capri is done. Then I just have flamingo and mint. I'm laughing because my craft room is actually my garage. So it's a full-on garage. And if I took all my stuff out here, you could literally open the door and drive 2 cars straight in and it's a garage. Because it's a really good space and this is where I decided I wanted to craft. When we had to upgrade the ducted heating, we actually brought it all the way through to the garage. And what that means is anything that happens in the kitchen, the smells come through to the garage. So currently I can smell that my husband is cooking toast. And I don't know about you, but toast is the most delicious smelling thing this world has ever made. And it always makes me so hungry. Just thought I'd share that with you. So I've got flamingo and I've got mint, and I need to decide which one's going to be flamingo and which one's going to be mint. I think this one's going to be flamingo and this one's going to be mint. Okay, so again, using my little, I'm using the word puddle pad for that, okay? Just so that the ink, as it keeps saying, doesn't go onto there. Mint is done and flamingo is last. Just stamp that off. Another plop. I don't know where I got plop from. All right, now if I clean that before I get too excited to show you my finished. That's a horrible sound, Charlotte. Okay, here we go. You ready? So there is my pattern paper. Nothing like this, but pattern paper. Pattern paper, how pretty. And I have dies that will cut out the shapes if I really want to. How cool is that? So there you go. That is one way of making patterned paper all by yourself and colouring it without having to colour it. Just using your black inks for a stamping base and then using whatever colours you want. But just as a tip, if you want to have a really nice colour palette, what you can do is cheat and use the featured colours from any of the paper suites Close to My Heart put out. So grab your zip strip. So this one will have one as well. As I said, this was a very old paper suite. So Sugar Rush, which is what this paper is, the featured colours were Blossom, Canary, Pomegranate, Raspberry, Sea Glass, Tangerine, Whisper, and White Daisy. Now, half of those colours don't exist anymore. And yes, I have sold my inks, so I couldn't match them anyway. Some of them are still around, like White Daisy. But at least you get the idea that you can pick any of the zip strips, pick the colours, you can tone them down, you can tone them up, and I've shown that in a video. You can make really a lot darker colours, saturate the paper, and make an absolutely gorgeous little masterpiece yourself. All right. I hope that you have enjoyed watching this. Have a go yourself. Don't be afraid. I mucked up, but it still looks pretty good. And I am going to go and probably cook myself some toast. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I will see you back here tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be coming at 9 o'clock because I have an awesome class tomorrow and really looking forward to that one. But as always, stay safe, keep crafting, and bye for now.